You're listening to another episode of Last Night's Coffee with Chuck and John.
So we went and saw The Beekeeper.
That's the new Jason Statham action movie.
Yes.
Yes, he actually keeps bees in the movie.
Yes. It's a pretty good movie. It was John Wick dash of Wolf of Wall Street type villain.
Did someone kill his bees?
Oh yeah. It was one of those over-the-top funny action movies. But it got me thinking, he needs to do a movie, like a fantasy, kind of like Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies movie, but it's based on Jimmy Carter, and it's like the peanut farmer. Yeah, and after the presidency, Jimmy goes around doing the Habitat for Humanity, but while he's doing that, he's slaying demons.
Slaying demons, dude. I love it.
He fights this in the Canadian tuxedo that he wears all the time.
Oh man.
Remember those pictures in the 80s of him in the denim?
Yeah, dude.
No, it'd be like, because he was a Sunday school teacher.
Yes. Yeah.
So it plays into that part of him being a Sunday school teacher, but he's going like if he goes to, say, Birmingham to build a house. Yeah. But he's really going to fight a demon.
Yeah, dude. Jimmy Carter, the Demon Slayer.
Yeah. In a world full of demons, there's one man that can save us all. It's the peanut farmer.
How does he slay the demon, though?
It's anointed peanut oil. He hand squeezes.
Yeah. Instead of hand loading like silver bullets,
right?
He's hand squeezing.
He just squeezes the peanut oil, and the oil comes out, and he catches it in a vial, and he goes, "I'll be right there."
Those are the only ones he shows up to. Are the haunted houses that Habitat's trying to rehabilitate. What's your one movie that you could do away with?
Star Wars.
That's your one movie you wish was never made?
Yeah.
The whole series?
I like Star Wars, but if it was never made, and George Lucas was a relatively unknown writer-director, right, at the time. So if it was never made, do you know what the number one movie of 1977 would be? Smokey and the Bandit. So if it hadn't come out, we could live in the world where Smokey and the Bandit has a theme at Disney World instead of Star Wars. This is space-time continuum.
You're kind of assuming that Smokey and the Bandit would totally take the place of Star Wars. Like everything that Star Wars has been through, Smokey and the Bandit would go through.
Yes, because it was the number one movie. It was the number 2 movie. The only movie that beat Smokey and the Bandit that year was Star Wars.
That's kind of crazy to think about because Star Wars has all these little spin-offs now and stuff. Can you imagine like Jackie Gleason's spin-off from Smokey and the Bandit?
Instead of the Mandalorian, you would have Sheriff Buford T. Justice's origin story.
And then people would have like their favorite little tiny characters that help them out along the way. Right. Just like in Star Wars, like there's these little tiny roles that people just love and they get attached to.
You could make a whole series on the prequel of Bandit and Snowman getting together.
Absolutely. A whole series.
And how they got to that point of from being just regular old truckers to these, bootleggers.
So it would almost make sense to make it in the order of Star Wars as well. Like have like 3 and then go back and do a previous 3, like a prequel 3, and then another 3.
Yeah, at the end of number 1, they went to Boston and got some clam chowder. All right, so that's a series. That's a series by itself. I think the song's The Ballad of the Bandit, where he's talking about having to come down Mont Eagle with no brakes. That's a whole scenario that you could put into these prequels. I mean, it's all laid out. The whole canon.
Think about like when The Force Awakens or whatever, and she's got to go find the old washed up Luke Skywalker, and instead someone's going to find the old washed up Bandit, old washed up Bandit.
Old washed up Bandit. Snowman's got all those kids.
Oh yeah, it would be one of Snowman's kids.
It would be one of Snowman's kids.
We've written 2 movies.
We've written 2 very good movies.
Totally separate of each other as well, by the way.
Yeah. Well, they could exist in the same universe.
Bandit's illegitimate son has got to go away to the peanut farm on Tatooine to grow up.
No, man, in planes.
In planes, right.
Star Wars.
Star Wars is your movie, huh? The conspiracy theory is Disney created Frozen as a distraction. People have long discussed the conspiracy that Walt Disney used cryogenics technology to freeze himself when he died, even though the Disney family refutes the claims. However, a new theory is that the Walt Disney Company created Frozen as a way to hack Google's search algorithm and distract consumers from information about the late Walt Disney's possible frozen procedure.
If you Google Disney Frozen,
good luck finding anything about Walt Disney being frozen.
Because you just find the movie.
Right.
That's a pretty good one.
That's a pretty good conspiracy theory, dude. It plays right into modern times.
All right, and then you got the killer whales, the orcas, that are attacking the boats for fun.
Yeah.
So they're telling the other one, hey, this was fun. Let's go do this.
Yeah, that's what they're the scientists that have been researching those particular instances of the killer whales attacking boats, they're quite sure that it's just a game.
It's like some thug killer whales out there, and they're like, man, we're gonna go watch this, dude.
Yeah, they're just out there vandalizing, essentially. It's just a game for them. It just gets their juices flowing.
They're
like
vandalizing boats.
They're just having fun.
There's like skater whales.
Yeah.
Like old school, not the new school skaters that are cool and everything.
Do you think they have like a version of Avril Lavigne's Skater Boy that plays? Like, he was a skater boy, he said, see you later, boy.
Yeah, it's I'm just a Weller boy. A boat tipping over, Nower boy.
Oh my God. We have these skater boy orcas out there in the ocean. But all right, Chucker, I found this article today. I sent it over to you because it just seemed too strange not to talk about. This is the headline.
Okay,
mummified monkey remains were found in luggage at Boston's airport. So here we go. The traveler at Boston Logan International Airport said the bag contained dried fish, but upon further examination, airport agents discovered that it was in fact mummified remains, which included heads belonging to 4 monkeys. The incident took place on Thursday at a security screening for passengers. A canine officer named Buddy sniffed out the dead and dehydrated monkeys.
He's probably headed to Bainbridge.
This is where it gets a little weird for me. Raw or minimally processed meat from certain wild animals, otherwise known as bushmeat, is not allowed to enter the U.S. largely out of health concerns. The traveler on Thursday carried about 8 pounds of bushmeat. Airport agents around the country have encountered a variety of meats. In 2022, agents at Washington Dulles Airport confiscated charred bat. And in 2019, officers at O'Hare International Airport intercepted about 32 pounds of rat meat. How freaking weird is that? Those people are working for the devil. It sent me down a rabbit hole. Listen to this. I came across the airport in Brussels. Researchers estimate 3.9 tons of bushmeat a month is smuggled through this airport, including bits of elephant, pangolins, crocodiles, all sorts of other wildlife.
Okay.
3.9 tons.
It's the secret. It's the secret in Bush's baked beans. Bushmeat.
No!
I'm gonna keep eating them. That's the secret. That's what the dog won't tell you. But the other dog, Buddy, he done gone against the Bush's baked bean dog, and he's releasing the secrets one monkey at a time. That's why it's not a monkey research facility in Bainbridge. They are Bush's baked bean monkeys, disguising it as a research monkey breeding facility, but really Bush's baked beans will be buying them. Think about it. It's on the East Coast. It's in Georgia. Bush's baked beans is in Tennessee. It's not that far to haul them. You keep it fresh. There's too much trouble getting the bush meat in, so now they're having to use locally sourced bush meat.
Bush's baked beans is behind this monkey farm in Bainbridge.
Yes, Bush's baked beans. They have excellent baked beans.
They do. They're so good. Well, you know Coke's better than Pepsi.
No, it's not. Yeah, but I had this left over from the race.
I see. We're still drinking racetrack Pepsi.
Yeah, I pulled it out. I pulled it out of the coolers where I was like, "Ooh, I got one."
Yesterday's Pepsi.
Yesterday's Pepsi. Last night's coffee.
Yeah.
Yesterday's Pepsi.
Yeah.
I got to meet Jeff Bodine, dude.
That's really freaking cool. When you sent me that picture, I was so stoked for you.
I spent time just wandering around the fan zone, taking it in. I'm always in such a hurry when I get to the track because I'm either running late or I got general admission tickets and I got to get my spot.
Right.
I go over there and I watch these guys juggling with fire, they're fire jugglers.
They got stuff like that at the racetrack?
Yes, dude. They had street performers at the racetrack. And the show was hilarious. I cannot remember their show name. I would give them a shout out, but it was just these two dudes that go around doing this kind of stuff. So I come walking back and I'm like, that looks like Jeff Bodine. And as I walk, and they're right there with our booth. His little display he's got, his little banner blows over and I pick it up and he goes, thanks for catching me. And I was like, okay. And then I walked off and I was like, that's cool, man. And then I'm like, that's Jeff Bodine.
You started to really realize it was him.
Yeah, I'm like, I looked at one of the other parents and said, Jeff Bodine is right there. Right there. Jeff Bodine, right there. And she's like, yeah, he was here yesterday too. I'm like, he's here now.
Yeah.
The little kid in me's like, Jeff Bodine's here. Jeff Bodine holds the track record at Atlanta for qualifying. I was there the day he set that track record. Yeah, me and Dad were there, and it's the fastest lap I've ever seen. It's 197 point something miles an hour. They just had repaved the track. The cars were making 900 horsepower, and it was blistering. I'm talking about it was something to behold. And the second fastest lap was put down by Ryan Newman a few years later, and I saw that lap too.
We went back to the moon this past week. I don't know if you saw this. Big, exciting news in NASA this past week. We finally have sent another mission to the moon. However, the lander fell over. So, imagine a humongous R2-D2 looking thing. He fell right over onto his side. Now he's pretty much useless. There's some really cool information out there on this about this is exactly why the Apollo mission had to switch to a piloted landing. Yeah, rather than an automated landing system, they had to do a piloted landing.
So this lander's sitting on the side like this.
That's right.
So what are they going to do when they're sitting there monitoring? Because there's some, even though it's broke till it quits working, there's somebody that's got to sit there and monitor the transmission, right?
The feed, the
feed. So what are they going to do when some feet walk up to it? You're just sitting there and there's just 2 feet. And then there's, 4 feet. And then there's 6 feet. And then there's a face that's like.
Yeah.
And then they kick it and walk off.
Yeah. Do they tap on the?
Yeah, they tap on it. Yeah. As they walk off, you realize that it's the Nazis on the moon.
Oh, dude. Could they be reptilian Nazis? Could they have big lizard tails?
Reptilian Nazis are on the moon, John. That's what you got to understand. The frogs, they got the frogs with them.
Oh, man.
I like going to the skating rink. That was fun.
Yeah, good times, man. Did you ever go to a lock-in at a skating rink?
No, I didn't. But the power went out one time and I got in trouble.
Why?
Because I was making out with some girl and my mom come in there and found me. Yeah, because they wouldn't let us out. Their parents had to come in. And all you had on was the emergency lights. So somebody's like, turn in your skates. So we turned in our skates.
But you and this girl had snuck off to a dark corner or something?
What was the,
give me the gist. Give me the rundown, man.
I don't even think we were in a dark corner. I think we were leaning up against a wall.
You were in one of the emergency lights, in the light.
No, off
that
the
would
side
be
of the light. The romance of an emergency light at the skating rink.
Oh, geez.
But then mom's like, we get in the car and she's like, she wasn't saying much. She goes, what was her name? And I'm like, I don't know.
Romance by the emergency light, man.
Still don't know her name.
Look, we need to get this out into Griffin. If this was you, What skating rink was it?
There's only one skating rink in Griffin, dude. Well, actually, at the time there was two, but there was only one safe one.
We got to find out, though. We got to find this out, man.
I'm not worried about it.
I'm gonna clip this up. This is getting made into a short.
No,
I am.
Ooh.
Honest Abe Lincoln. You knew that Abraham Lincoln was a wrestler, correct?
Yes, I knew he was in the American Wrestling Hall of Fame.
That's right. He is in the Wrestling Hall of Fame as well. Abraham Lincoln is one of the most famous politicians in history, but is less known that he had an equally impressive wrestling career. That's right. Before the 16th president of the United States started grappling with the political opponents, he was throwing down rivals on the mat. When he wasn't doing agricultural work, the Kentucky native competed in catch-as-catch-can wrestling, also known as catch wrestling. High school and college wrestling didn't exist in the 1800s, but Lincoln was a county wrestling champion at the age of 21. After moving to the village of New Salem, Illinois, the owner of a shop where Lincoln worked, called Denton Offutt, reportedly put his gifted employee forward for local bouts as a way of promoting his business. That's awesome.
He was a sponsored wrestler.
That's right. This local shop owner sponsored him. Rumors of the 6'4" grappler's talents began to spread, and he was soon challenged to a match against Jack Armstrong, the local champion and leader of a local group of bullies outside the shop. The story goes that Lincoln needed convincing, but eventually agreed to participate under the rules of side holds, where either man could throw his opponent to the ground. During the match, the future U.S. president was enraged by Armstrong's underhand tactics, but held his ground, and Armstrong eventually conceded, admitting that Lincoln was the better fella. Lincoln went on to study and practice law before entering politics, but continued to wrestle and reportedly amassed 300 victories over 12 years. His only known defeat came at the hands of Hank Thompson during the Black Hawk War of 1832, where Lincoln was serving with the Illinois Volunteers. That was his record as a wrestler, 301.
That's better than Ric Flair's.
That's pretty darn good, man. It's pretty darn good. But how about he had his own personal, like, pallbearer? He had, like, The Undertaker and pallbearer. The shop owner was exploiting Honest Abe out there.
So do you think, you've heard some of the rumors about Abe.
Uh-huh.
Do you think he chose wrestling because he liked hugging guys?
Are you calling Abraham Lincoln queer?
I mean, there's rumors. There's pretty legit rumors about that. So I was just wondering if that was the sport he chose because it was a legitimate way for him to hug on other guys.
I mean, give him a legitimate way to do the old 5-on-2, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, check their oil, whatever. So what would his WWE name be?
I put a slight bit of thought into it because my wife asked me today. She was like, what are you guys going to talk on the podcast about? And immediately it came to mind, the Emancipator.
That's what I was going to say.
Get out of here.
It took like half a second, like, the Emancipator, hailing from parts unknown. The Emancipator. Dude, I had an interesting weekend. I feel like I have hit my mid-40s and I've embraced it.
Mm-hmm.
So Friday night, we went to Captain D's with the old people.
Captain D's was your dinner?
Yeah. I feel like I've reached a point in my life where I can go into Captain D's and I'm a baller. At Captain D's, I don't have to look at the price. I can just look at the picture and say, that looks good. Give that to me. I don't have to have a coupon.
Dude, that is so funny.
I can go into a great little seafood place and I am the king of it.
So you feel like, you've kind of gotten to a sweet spot in life. And you can walk into a Captain D's and not even look at the price of a menu.
I don't have to choose between fish and shrimp anymore. Give me the fish and the shrimp. Platter, not the basket. I can get the platter. So I get two sides.
My man, he's getting the platter.
Look, let me tell you, I used to go there for lunch when I went to Griffin Tech. I would have to be like, okay, I got $5. What can I get? But I had more money than one of the other guys that was there with me because he'd be like, give me some crunchies and a water. I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm like, dude, what are you going to do? He goes, I'm going to put some ketchup and malt vinegar in the crunchies and I'm good to go. And they gave him a tray, the best looking tray of crunchies you'd ever seen.
Am I wrong that the CIA shouldn't be operating on American soil?
No, they're not. They're not authorized.
So the fact that any of these operations have taken place, like Operation Midnight Climax, where they were dosing the John Does with LSD in the strip clubs, you remember that?
Yeah.
You know, unknowingly dose him with LSD and see what he did.
Could you imagine?
No.
Like I've never taken LSD. I've never dropped acid. Okay. Just so we're perfectly clear.
Yeah.
But could you imagine getting dosed and not knowing what's going on, like not know why the floor's moving?
Right.
You know,
like, why is everyone's face melting? Why is this happening? You don't understand any of it.
Yeah. How terrifying that would be. You're at the strip club and the girl turns into a freaking lizard.
Right. So that operation should have never taken place.
No, they should have done that in Mexico. I mean, look. There's a dude in New York. He went to outside the Trump courthouse, and he looked at somebody and said, "Come on, baby, light my fire." And she wouldn't, so he lit himself.
Oh, come on, baby, light my fire.
And at first, everybody thought that he was protesting the fact that Trump was on trial. But then his manifesto of sorts got released, and it turns out this dude was ticked off at both sides. And he figured the best way to show his displeasure was light himself on fire. He
thought both sides were involved in a fascist takeover of the world, right?
Yes, a fascist coup.
Well, that's one way to protest.
That was his last protest, too.
Yeah. He drew some attention. We're talking about it.
We are.
What's his name? Do you remember?
Fire
guy. Fire King. Trump. Just like Sky King.
No, look, dude. Sky King was honorable. This guy wasn't. Sky King. I think I'm just going to do a loop and set it down. Call it a day.
Sky King. Richard Russell. At least I know Sky King's name, you know?
Yes, we know Sky King's name. R.I.P.
Let's just say this guy did not pick the best form of protest.
Right? His name was Max. Dude, that last name, I can't say that. Azzarello.
Azzarello?
I think it's Italian for Man of Fire.
That's a Denzel flick, isn't it?
Man on Fire. Not to be confused with Max in New York. That's the sequel. In a world where everything seems against you, there's a fascist coup trying to take over the world. And only one man can stop it, and he knows what he must do. He must set himself ablaze so the world can see.
Oh, Man on Fire 2.
Man on Fire 2. Coming this
Part 2.
Part 2.
For the first time ever, we're going to have Catherine Lasky on the podcast. Come on, Catherine Lasky. Come on.
Yay.
She's going to join us for the podcast just to talk about our anniversary dinner.
So 10 years with this Joker?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
It's the best 10 years of my life.
So she had the filet, you had what?
I had the filet as well. We shared Brussels sprouts and mashed potatoes. Oh, we got the calamari. Best calamari I've ever had in my life.
Down.
Yeah.
Delicious.
That calamari, you sent me a picture. It looked good.
Yes, sir.
It was so good. It had baby squids and all. Whole ones.
Whole baby squids?
Whole baby.
Yeah. I ate the mess out of them.
They looked like deep fried tarantulas. I didn't eat those ones. I ate the ones that were circle and looked not like an animal.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the calamari that looks like onion rings.
That's the ones I stuck with.
Did you see anybody get the seafood tower while you were there?
We hardly saw anybody.
Yeah.
While we were
really?
They kind of shoved us off in like this special events, special occasion room.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they shoved us. They very kindly
Yeah.
escorted us to this room.
It was just kind of towards the back. Yeah, it was more towards the back.
Did you look poor?
Probably. They wanted to hide us from the rest of
y'all
Atlanta.
looked so poor when y'all went to freaking Ruth's Chris that they put you in the back?
No, she looked spectacular. I wore blue jeans, though. I won't lie.
Oh,
I did wear jeans.
there we
You
go.
wore a really nice shirt, though.
Yeah. There was another couple that was eating back there with us, and the dude was eating chicken wings.
He was. I didn't even know they had
They
chicken
got
wings.
chicken wings at Ruth's Chris?
I guess.
How big a baller you got to be to go to Ruth's Chris and get chicken wings?
Right?
That wasn't the
It's
only
like-
thing they had. They had so much stuff come to their table.
Yeah. Yeah, they
You're
had
sitting
quite
there
a few.
looking at the menu going, oh, that steak looks good, but I think I'll have the chicken wings.
You probably pay same price for chicken wings.
Yeah, it's probably like $50 for 10.
Probably.
Then chicken wings better get up and jump in your mouth.
They feed you. So
Yes, they're like, they spin it while you sit down.
Every chicken wing is making minimum wage. It's like $7.50 a wing.
Yes. Yes. I've never been accused of being a musician. I have hung out with a few though.
same.
Hey, you both are former percussionists, or once a percussionist, always a percussionist, right?
Yeah, man, it's like a Marine.
It's like a Marine.
I don't
You're
think
never
that's
not a percussionist.
Maybe that's
wrong.
Maybe that's the new title.
Once a percussionist, always a percussionist.
Yeah, once a drummer, always a drummer.
I don't know.
So if you can just learn the minimal amount of grappling, I think that's your best bet when it comes to a hand-to-hand situation.
What about Greco-Roman wrestling?
Oh, wrestling, absolutely, because wrestling, if you can take that person to the ground, yeah.
Oil check
Dude.
in there just for the heck of it.
Wrestlers are the most vicious of all martial artists. Like, I consider wrestling a martial art. They are the biggest animals there are. They're all about the weight cutting already. Like, they're just on a whole different level. They train. They never stop. They're animals, man. They're always different.
I can't believe the Marshall family had so many different arts. I mean, they must have traveled everywhere.
Everywhere.
You know, like they branched out. They were just this vicious family, the Marshalls. Yeah. And they're like, look, we can't get along here. So you take your skills here. You take your skills here. And we're going to develop the world in different martial arts skills.
That'd be really funny if you just convince somebody.
That's how it happened. There's somebody going, what?
Some ancient seafaring family.
The Marshalls.
Yeah.
They were so secretive, they don't talk about them. That's really who runs the world. It's not the Illuminati. It's not some secret black government or whatever. It's the Marshall family.
It's the Marshall family, including Marshall Mathers.
Yes. He's the head marshal.
That's how they've stayed in disguise, is they just go by first name Marshall.
The Marshalls predate last names. So you're just Marshall.
Yeah.
Marshall Tucker.
Yeah. Praise God for the Marshalls.
The Marshalls, they're out there doing the work, man.
Yeah, they got a lot of good arts.
Yes, and a throwback to last week's show, I am actively seeking a bottle of Seaforce water to drink on the air.
Chuck, if you're listening, if you hear this by any grace of God, Chuck Norris, please help us out. We'd love to try Seaforce.
I will drink it and see if it transforms me.
Man, what if you started turning into Chuck Norris? Like, what if you started looking more and more like Chuck Norris instead of Chuck Oxenford?
Do I learn Kung Fu?
Maybe.
Does he only know one of the Marshalls, or does he know all a bunch of the Marshalls?
I'm not sure what all he knows.
Did you actually meet one of the Marshalls?
I've never met a Marshall. The closest thing I've ever met to a Marshall was Evander Holyfield.
Post ear or pre-ear? Did he have both his ears?
Both.
Oh, you've met him twice?
Yeah, I met him multiple times, yes.
Okay, so y'all are like homies?
No.
Oh.
My martial arts gym was in the same building that his daughter went to gymnastics.
Oh, okay. So you're just like, oh, look, there's Evander.